Hi guys, welcome to trenches. I can't even say welcome to my YouTube channel. Hello YouTube, my name is Wayne and this is Wayne's Rant. In this video, I shall review the Nigerian limited Netflix series Blood Sisters that stars Ini-Dinma Okojie and I can't remember her name. I have to check. Let me go check it. Nancy Isime, Ini-Dinma Okojie and Nancy Isime star in this Nigerian Netflix limited series. Because this is a limited series and I want to treat each episode as an individual element and then do individual reviews of each episode, I won't have as much time to talk about all of the normal randomness I start my videos with and like general film stuff. As usual, spoiler alert for whoever is watching this video and hasn't seen this series. This series is available on Netflix. Netflix at some point, I think they're trying to prevent us from sharing our passwords and stuff. I don't know why they want to do that, because that's going to stop the bulk of us from being able to watch stuff on Netflix, because that's how the rest of us watch stuff, with other people's accounts. But then if you do not have a Netflix account and you've not seen it, there are other places you can see it, like illegal websites. Yeah. I know I just said I don't have as much time to talk about all of the randomness that I would do, but one of the things that I kind of feel like I have to talk about, if you get me, is if you see my Man of God review, I talk about the fact that the movie lacks an antagonist, and that really brings down the quality of the whole movie, and it's like a 5-ish or a 5, 6, 4, somewhere around there, because it lacks an antagonist. This film does the mirror opposite of that. Mirror opposite, that's a tautology. This film flips the script, right? So this film lacks a protagonist. It lacks a main character. The supposed main character, Ini-Dinma Okojie, plays the character of Sarah, has to be the most passive lead character I've seen in my life. She was less active in the film than the audience. At least the audience is going to be like, oh my god, wow, I can't believe you did this. But then she didn't. She was completely a passenger in her own life. She was a passenger in this car that we were all driving. She wasn't even like sitting at the passenger seat. She was sitting at the back like children. You know when you have kids and then they have to sit in the middle and they have to put the seatbelt. Exactly. She was like so passive. She only takes 2 actions in this film to move the story forward, and both happened in the last episode. One of them was an action to delegate saving Kemi's life, which we'll talk about that later, to someone else, and the last one was an action to give up, right? So generally she's just like a yes woman and doesn't really do anything, and that's like the only thing about the film that I didn't like, because like the main character has to be active and take actions. She was just too passive and she was just there for the right. She's living her best life, honestly. Like, don't stress Sarah, because Sarah is not here for stress. Another thing is the person that plays the character of Timei. She's just an amazing actress. I've not seen her in any work before. This is the first time I'm seeing her, but like every Nollywood movie from now should have her as supporting character, lead character, hero, villain. Let her act all the roles. Like, I want to see her, because she was just amazing, and she embodied Timei and she played that character with her heart. And I just love it. I love when actors act, and it's just wow. So the episode begins with a future reference of them burying the body, and then officially starts with this very weird scene where Femi is with the world's worst assassin. That guy should not be seen anywhere close to a gun, knife, or an axe. And you understand when I go deeper into this review. But yeah, and they have this meeting, and then they have this conversation, and he's like, you sure say you want to do one for the wedding? And he's like, say the craze. And I'm like, why is somebody paying you to kill somebody and you're insulting the person? What's your problem? But then, like I said, he's a very terrible assassin, because he's not even good at what he does, and his customer service is terrible. I would not recommend this assassin. And then we go to probably the weirdest scene I've seen in any form of TV or cinema history. Kola is in a very important meeting, and we understand that this meeting is important throughout the rest of the series, and he's drawing who he's going to marry. And in my head, I'm like, because I know how long it takes to do a pencil art, so did they start in the meeting? Was it like inside the meeting? I was like, I'm bored, give me a pen and give me a pencil and a piece of paper, let me draw this girl from this woman I'm about to marry from memory, or had he been drawing it since, and then they were in the meeting and then somebody was talking and I was like, this guy is talking rubbish, let me continue to now, because I don't understand why he was drawing. That probably would never happen in a meeting. But then what shocks me the most is that the people were clapping when he was done. Why are you, what's your problem? You don't have any self-respect. You don't have any respect for self. You are in a meeting with somebody. He doesn't even look you in the eye. He's talking to you. He doesn't respect you enough. He's looking at the drawing. And then when he finishes, you are clapping. The episode does a very good job in setting the pace of the characters and the whole film. We know what to expect from the character. As absurd and unrealistic as the first major scene we see with Kola and the board people, we understand the level of narcissism and how ego-centered he is. And like as much as, like I said, that thing was very absurd, the whole episode as a whole body does a good job in setting the pace and explaining to us who the characters are. When we meet Kemi and Sarah, we can see that Kemi is like, she's like a go-getter kind of thing. She doesn't take nonsense. We can see that Sarah is a footmat. Anything you tell her goes last. She doesn't really have a mind of her own. We can see how Uche is there for the money. Uche Jumbo, by the way, very beautiful portrayal of the character. We can, like I said, the whole episode as a whole does a very good job in setting the tone. And after all of that, we see Blade. Blade was contracted by Femi to kill Kola on his wedding day, and Blade intentionally tried to sabotage because he kept looking at the cameras. He kept walking like the only thing he needed to do was to wear a shirt that said, I am an assassin, I'm here to kill Kola. He was so, subtlety is not one of his, first of all, he doesn't have a strong suit. That guy, he dies in episode 4. He deserves it, by the way, because if you're going to be an assassin, be a good one. You get, like, if you want to do something wrong, do it right. And then we go through the weirdest sequence, the weirdest assassination sequence I've seen in my life. They never explain to us how Kola apparently has a black belt and can destroy both Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Jason Statham, because he just beats up this trained assassin like he's his younger brother. They never explain that, but then anyways, we move. There was a severe red flag. I don't know if Sarah had ever seen this happen, but if she had seen this happen and still chose to marry this guy, then I don't say she deserved whatever came to her. But how do you marry somebody that is lip-syncing his mother? They were kissing each other on the lips, mother and son. And it's not like the son, because if the son is a baby, it's easier to understand. But this is a grown man kissing his mother. Red flag. We meet Kenny, Sarah's ex. He is doing what every man that doesn't have any self-respect should do. He's shouting at somebody a day before our wedding, don't marry him, marry me or something. We meet Kenny, and then Kenny proves to be instrumental to the whole film and the whole plot. And like I said, I know I'm coming back to say this already, but the characters were very well introduced, and Kenny at this point was well introduced enough that we knew Kenny was someone that Sarah could always count on, if you get what I mean. He showed that he still loved her, and it was like she still had his mumu button. I mean, both of them are mumu, but like at what I assume is a rehearsal dinner kind of setting, we meet Timei, who turns out to be my favorite character from the whole film. She arrives on set, not set, but like on at the scene, and just gives us the right energy throughout the whole episode. When she is flirting with the barman, when she is being a disgrace to her family, when she's joking, she's just like, yeah, Timei. There's one thing I don't like about this episode, is the fact that they kill him off too early in the episode. He dies somehow, sometime around the middle of the episode, and I kind of have a problem with that. If you've seen a lot of series, there's a way like the whole episode builds up to like a climax, and then they really want you to watch the next episode. And I think these guys missed the opportunity on ending this episode with his death. Like, Kemi pulls the trigger, and he dies, and then the episode ends. I think they really missed an opportunity with that. I think that would have really heightened it. They could have used the whole of episode 1 to introduce us more to the conflict, introduce us more to the inner workings of the Ademola family, introduce us more to the relationship between Sarah and Kemi, and maybe if we could have like flashbacks of both of them. The episode could have been used to do a lot more setting, you know. However, It's fine, I guess. Why did they cut off his head? I still don't get it. I've been trying to figure out why they cut off his head. She just has a head cutting off fetish. Because when I first saw her cut off his head, I was like, oh, they want to cut off all part. They want to cut him into like bits and then like bury him. You know, because if you cut him into bits, it's easier to take him out of the hotel. But they just cut off his head. I also now thought, okay, maybe they were going to just cut off his head and then bury his body and his head apart from each other. So if somehow his body is found out, they can never find his head, and then they don't really know who has the body. But then because it's Nigeria and it's not like we have the technology that can do stuff like that. But then they put both of them together. So did they need to cut off the head to fit it into the trash can? Because how much head room does the head space? That was funny, by the way. How much room does the head take? You know, why did they need to cut it off? I still do not get it. But then the next scene, I absolutely love it when we see the gatesman or the security guard, and then I just love the interactions. The like that whole scene was subtle passive aggressive energy, and that was just nice. And then the photographer. I don't understand why the photographer was still in his car. And yes, there are a lot of things that can happen, but it was just too convenient. You get what I mean? Like, why is the photographer in his car for something where everybody has gone home since? Why was he sleeping? That camera, because I saw him, he did not switch on that camera. He just took it, pointed, and shot. So, was that, I mean, this, my camera that I'm using to shoot this video has died like 4 times. How long, which camera is he using? Is he using a power bank? I, Uduak is a demon, right? She's a devil. I don't think I have seen someone that hates human beings this much. The way she treats everybody in this world. She treats Sarah like how is somebody that wicked? You get what I mean? Like I've seen wicked people, but this. Why are you so wicked? And the way Kate Henshaw plays the character of Mrs. Uduak, Ademola, she plays it so well, and she just makes her hate for everybody so believable. You know, we see a scene in Kemi's office, and I never understand also why we have this scene. It's like at most 17 seconds of on-screen time. Kemi just goes to the office, and someone asks, "Are you fine?" And it because they never come back to the office or never call back to it. It's like they built that whole location. That whole thing was just to ask if she was fine. It doesn't really cut it in the whole grand scheme of things. But then the next scene is Kemi just living a normal life. You know, I just killed somebody, but let me buy Bonvita first. And then the photographer comes up to her and threatens her. Okay, so Kemi now goes to Sarah and then tells her to give her all her money so they can give it to the photographer. Kemi also brings all her money out. Sarah obviously obliges and doesn't disagree with this plan because, I mean, she initially would do, but then it's Sarah. She doesn't have a mind of her own. So she finally withdraws the money and then gets it to Kemi. We see Femi trying to take his brother's company. Technically, it's not his brother's company. It's the family business, but it's being run by his brother. And then I love the fact that Mrs. Uduak proves to us again how consistently a demon she is. When Timei comes back to her mother and is like, oh yeah, these are all this stuff I know about our brother, and he's probably been kidnapped. Not kidnapped, but killed. Her mother is like, you are useless to her face. She looks her in the eyes and tells her, you are useless.
A proper chance. Because you're useless, that's why. You're a useless, dirty drug addict who has been a disappointment to me from the day you were born.
That woman is a demon. I know I've said it already, but I just want to quickly reiterate what I've been saying since morning. That woman is a demon. From this scene, we can also see that the main character is well written. There's not a lot of saying, there's more of showing. And even though we don't necessarily know exactly why she's been doing drugs, we can see that it's triggered by her mother, and that's just beautifully shown. The character of Kende Balogun's character, Olayinka, is also beautifully written, so we can understand her motivations and see that she's basically just power driven and wants her husband to be very successful. Unsuccessfully trying to bribe off the photographer, Kemi has this new brilliant idea to kill the photographer. And who does she tell? Sarah. Sarah obviously is not the kind of person that gives no for an answer. Whatever you say is yes. So she says, okay, I mean, before we killed someone, it was a mistake, but now let's commit premeditated murder because you're my friend and you say it, and what can I say, you know? She now tells, they now decide to get a gun. And when their plan to get a gun doesn't work, she decides to take the wheel. But what is she doing now that she's taking the wheel? She's telling Kemi to go and find a gun. She can't even do that by herself. It's like, what's your purpose in this life? You get what I mean? Like, what are you doing in this story? Femi assumes the lead role in the company, and for the first time, we are introduced to the Naxins or the Nakamuras in their full glory. I'm still deciding whether or not to call them the Naxins or Nakamura. So in the comment section, I would like you guys to help me. What do you think this guy should be called? While he's doing an interview, he's having an interview, sex scenes between Olayinka and Femi, aka the Naxins, keep cutting into our screen and into our faces. He then tells them that his brother, who we also see as dead, is abroad and that his sister is living her best life. I just really like the editing of this episode and a lot of the series itself. They explain to us why Detective Joe has an American accent, and I like how they did that. Although the very next scene, they start shoving it down our throats, and they're like, because some random guy sees him and he's like, wait, why do you talk like this? Sure, you've been all go America before. And then he's like, yeah, I was in Chicago. And then the very next scene is like, oh, I had this car in Chicago. We get it. You are from Chicago. Move on. Anyway, I really like how they explained the fact that he was from Chicago. And because a lot of films do that thing where they have this weird character that speaks in this unique British accent, but then apparently the character has been in Oshodi from beginning of the film, and it's like, where did you pick that up from? Sarah finds out about the fact that Kenny has been arrested, and she is not calm, she is not collected, she's not composed. She honestly doesn't have anything going for her as a human being or as a character. And we needed Kemi, because technically she doesn't have a voice of her own, that is Sarah. We needed Kemi to tell her to chill out. We've already killed another person now, premeditated, so we are murderers, so calm down, we're not going to tell the police anything. Also, Detective Joe finds out that the two of them actually killed this guy, and his police station has to have been in Badagry, and Sarah lives on the island, because when he leaves the police station to go arrest them, I can see the sun, but when he gets there, there's no sun. So he must have passed through every single Lagos traffic. He must have circled around from Ogun State, cut through Ibadan, and then went to their place. Because that's the only explanation for why they could escape. But they escaped because